Sai Ram. I offer my most reverential pranams at the divine lotus feet of my beloved mother Sai. Basically, I think, like last time when we had this satsang, my mother was also sitting along with me, and I was sharing her experiences with Mother Sai, the divine experiences. And there was one more miracle or the divine experience which she wanted me to share. So I would like to share that today. So, like before I start the satsang, I again offer my pranams at Mother Sai's lotus feet and pray that she talks through me. It is not I who am sharing this, it is he who is sharing his own divine experiences. I seek your blessings. This is in the year 2004, Shivratri. My mother, like she was, this is in the night at around 1:30 in the night. So she basically what she does is in the middle of the night she has the habit of using the washroom in between because of her age and also the medication she takes. And it so happened that at around like 1:30 suddenly she felt she was woken up. So when she woke up, we have Swami's Abhaya Hasta with both his hands like this big picture we have, which is kept exactly opposite to her cot. So, like when she woke up, she felt Swami was calling her. It was like we speak Konkani, that is our mother tongue. And then she felt that Swami was speaking to her through the photo. And he was saying her, get up. Like in Konkani, we say, uta, uta, uta. And he is telling her, she's seeing that Abhayasta has become like this, like, so she felt probably she's dreaming. And then she, like she thought, no, 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 I'm dreaming. Then again, when she just sat, saw very clearly from the picture, Swami is saying, get up, get up. And write. He's saying, write, get up and write. So she's asking, Swami, what shall I write? I don't know what to write. He's not saying anything. He's just saying, get up, write. Get up, write, write. Everything is saying twice. Then she didn't know what to do. Then okay, Swami is saying that he has to write. And this is exactly, you can see the light here. This light we keep it on because it's like, it's in the center of both the rooms. So even, like in the middle of the night, in case she wants to walk around, there is no darkness. So that is the only light that was on. She came till the table here, and then usually we don't have any books or any pens kept handy, and that day in the middle of the night she comes and she just she sees there is a paper and a pencil on the table. So she starts writing. She doesn't know what she's writing because Swami told her write. She starts writing, and then she starts writing. At the end of it, the Gurkha who does his night beats. He came and he hit on the gate. Jagte raho, they say, no, like that he hit, and suddenly she woke up, and with a startle she woke up and, oh my god, where am I? And she realized, and then she went back, and then she slept. In the morning she saw, Swami came in my dream, or it was real, I'm not sure, but something happened. But I wrote something, let me go and check what I have written. And you will not believe, my mother, she studied Tamil. In her last talk she mentioned that she studied Tamil. She knows Kannada, but Hindi was very remotely she knew, in the sense she could understand, but the fluency is not there. But she has written a beautiful poem. you know I'll read that poem for you. Om Shri Sai Baba, Om Shri Sai Mata, Om Shri Sai Prabhu, मेरी एक विनंती स्वीकारो प्रभु, हर एक काम में, हर एक विश्राम में, हर एक बात में, हर एक मौन में, हर एक नींद में, हर एक जाग में, हर एक राग में, हर एक ताल में, तुम ही तुम रहो मेरे साई। हर एक उठ में, हर एक बैठ में, हर एक भूख में, हर एक प्यास में, हर एक इच्छा में, हर एक त्याग में, हर एक सुख में, हर एक दुख में, और क्या मांगू मेरे भगवान, जीवन के हर एक सांस में तुम ही तुम रहो मेरे साई। हर एक रोम में तुम रहो साई, मेरे अंतिम सांसों में तुम आओ साई. This is the poem she has written at 1:30 in the night, which she could not believe herself. Swami wakes her up and tells, Utho, likho. That's all. And she comes and there is a paper and pencil ready. And she starts writing. That's a very small light where she can't even see what she's writing. And it is written in Hindi. That is the miracle. Because if it was in Tamil, if it was in Kannada, it is quite understandable because she has fluency. Here, it is so fluently written, and it is in the morning when she reads. She comes and tells me, "See, Swami came and he told me to write, and I have written this. I can't believe I have written this." So it is such a beautiful poem she has written. It's a prayer, and this prayer, like the Malleshwaram Samiti Balvikas gurus, they when we shared this experience and when we read this prayer, they put it in a tune and made a beautiful song, which like anybody can sing when they are, they can sing it like a prayer. So they put a nice tune and they have made a song of that. So this is, one miracle which happened for one of the Shivratris. The following Shivratri, what happened is like she has the hernia problem. My mother, basically, abdomen hernia, and she has undergone surgery thrice. And during her third surgery, the doctor said that the muscles have become so weak, so that there can be no further surgeries that is possible. And it so happened that, like she used to, even that surgery failed because the muscles were very weak. And every now and then she used to get stomach ache, because the hernia is basically, it's a tear of a muscle, and the abdomen used to go, and sometimes if it gets stuck between the muscles, she used to get severe stomach ache, which was unbearable. So one of the Shivratris, what happened is like my sister and me, we had come to the following Shivratri, that is 2004, 2005. My sister and me, we had come to Puttaparthi, and there we, like we had bought the small padukas from the stores, the copper ones padukas, and like I was to take it back home, and we had kept it with us, and we were sitting. And then Swami, when he started walking past, everybody was offering something to Swami. We didn't know, but those were the days where we could carry small pouches, and in the pouch, those small padukas, they could fit in the sling bag. Suddenly I saw, like, yeah, everybody's giving something. Even I want to get something blessed. And immediately I removed the padukas. I held it to Swami like this. And Swami kept his hand on the padukas and he blessed it. We were so happy because, like it was very close to Shivratri, and we got Swami's blessings. And we came back, we were very happy, and, we wanted to share this. When we came back, it so happened that my mother, that day she was sleeping in the afternoons, because she had pain in the abdomen, she was just taking rest. And when she just, like she had taken some painkillers, but still her pain was not subsiding. And then she must have just, little bit of, she must have just fallen asleep. And in her sleep, Swami came in her dream. And this is the same picture which you see behind me, the same picture. Swami comes out from that picture, and then like she's sitting in front of Swami, and Swami say she's praying to Swami. Swami, I'm not able to bear this pain. It is, like I'm this hernia is really, the pain is killing me. You have to do something, Swami, I'm not able to bear it. And then Swami says, like you hold your hand like this, and then she holds the hand, and then Swami pours heaps of vibhuti, and he tells her, you swallow it. And then she swallows. Okay. And then what happened is, she suddenly woke up. When she woke up, the pain was unbearable. Like when she woke up from the dream, she was not able to, she was literally rolling. And we had just come from Puttaparthi, and like my sister and me, we didn't know what to do. Suddenly my sister remembered that, why don't we give, see, Swami has given some indication in the dream that give vibhuti. So he has given her vibhuti, so let us just give vibhuti. And we had just come from Puttaparthi, so we had that at the security exit, we collect the vibhuti packets, right? So we just opened one of the packets, mixed it in the water, and we gave it to her. As she was sipping the vibhuti water, suddenly she felt, that her body became very light, as if she's flying, like that. And the pain, which was unbearable, and she didn't know what to, even we didn't know what to do, because the doctor himself had said there is nothing much that can be done, even after the third surgery. And she felt very light. And then after a few seconds, she told my sister, the pain is gone. And till date, this is 2005, and now we are in 2022. Till date, it has not troubled her at all. So it was very symbolic. Swami gave the vibhuti, say, asking us, see, I have given the vibhuti, it's from Puttaparthi, which is coming, so take that vibhuti. And my sister's presence of mind, she said, yeah, I think after the dream also, like when she wakes up, if she has this pain, Swami is asking us to give on his behalf. And this is very symbolic. So we gave, and till date, Swami is taking care of her. And she has lot of pains, because these are all, she says, these are all inherited karmas. Some karmas which we have done, and we have to go through it. But which even Swami himself has said in his, even in Tapovan, he has mentioned, whichever is the pain inherited through karma, even he will not be able to do much. But otherwise, the amount of the kind of sadhana we do, the kind of prayer, or like the following of his messages, that will mitigate the pain and suffering. So this is one of the experiences which I wanted to share about my mother's divine experience. Until date, the hernia has not troubled her. He is taking care of her. The other, this is, like about the experience which I have, I would like to share my experience. In the year, to 2003, my sister's wedding, just 2 days before my sister's wedding, just two days exactly, my dad had a heart attack. And he was admitted in Wokhad. That's now it is called Fortis, but that time it was called Wokhad. So he was admitted there. And just 2 days later was my sister's wedding. And then, we were all panic stricken. We didn't know what to do. And then, he was there, and somebody had to attend to him. He had undergone angioplasty. But even here, the relatives were there. Everything was set, and the wedding was to happen. But then, like the priest said, instead of parents, even since I'm her elder sister, I myself and my husband, we can do the Kanyadan for my sister. All that was taken care, and but we were still worried, like my father is alone there. We went to the hospital, spoke to the doctors. The doctor said not to worry, we have very good staff, everybody will take care, we understand there is a major function at home, you cannot be here, so don't worry, we will take care of your father, you finish all the function and then you can come back. So, like we could not be there on the wedding day because we were preoccupied. We were here, like we were at the wedding event. And after the wedding was over, like the following day, my dad got discharged from the hospital. So he came home. We brought him home, and then like he was just settling down. I get a phone call, and this I would like to tell you at that time. In the year 2003, I was not holding any office bearer position. Only in 2009, like Swami blessed me with to take up the role of a state youth coordinator. But in 2003, I was not holding any office bearer position, or neither everybody knew me, or like, because once you become an office bearer, many people will know you, but before that nobody, like I was to go to the hospital sometime, do some seva and come back. When we entered home, we brought my father and he was just settling down. I get a phone call and there was no mobile, it was just a landline. And on the landline there is a very sweet voice, exact a lady's voice. Okay, it is not a gent's voice, a lady's voice, but a very soft, sweet voice. This lady tells, am I speaking to Nalini Ullal? I said, yeah, I am Nalini Ullal. See, I finished the hospital seva, so can I go back? I, like, out of the blue, I get a call. I finished hospital seva, like, I was not able to join the dots also, like I didn't know what is happening. Okay, why is she, why are you calling me? Like, I'm, no, like I felt I should tell you that I finished the seva, so shall I go back? Then I said, yeah, if you have finished the seva, yeah, you can leave, I think so. Because I didn't know. I was totally dumbstruck because I didn't expect this call. I didn't know what to answer. So I was just fumbling on the phone. Then when do you think I should come back? The person on the other side. But that thought to answer in a right manner also is given by Swami himself. I told the person on the phone that next time when I need your services, I will call you. Please do come. So that thought also, because now when I think back, I feel it was so nicely I answered. I didn't say it's okay. I didn't abruptly end the conversation. When the person on the phone said, when do you want me to come again? I could have said, no, I don't know, or something like that. But I said, okay, when we need your services, that time you come. When we need your services, you come. And then, okay. And the person kept the phone. And then my uncle, my dad's elder brother, and my aunt, they're based in Putparthi only, inside the ashram. So when they had come here for the wedding, so when I told, see, very strange call, and this person says, I finished my hospital duty. When shall I leave, and when can I come? Then my uncle said, hey, that is Swami. See, you didn't, there was nobody, throughout, you were so worried that, there is nobody to take care of your dad at the hospital, and now he just came back home and, like, he's finished, he's completed his seva. So throughout, your dad was with Swami. I mean, your Swami was with your dad in the hospital. And now that he's back home, he's called to tell you that he was with your dad all these days. Now, can I go back? And when do you want me to come next? Because that voice was so sweet, like Swami's voice. and you felt like listening to that person. And though I didn't know what to answer, I didn't want to tell that person on the phone that I don't know what you when you have to come, how will I know. So I felt so nice to speak to that person. And when my uncle said, we all were, oh yes, this is Swami himself. He wanted to show that like he was with my dad and he was taking care of him all this while. He finished his hospital seva. Now he is going back, and when do you want him to come next? And I felt so nice that I told him that when we need your services, we'll let you know, please come that time. So like it was like, okay, we want you, Swami, all the time with us. And it was such a beautiful experience. I'll never forget that. So this is a message which goes to everyone. We should never think that like we are doing it, or if we are not there, what will happen to a person. It Swami has clearly showed that like you just call out to me, and that yearning is enough. He will be there, taking our taking like every role, everyone's role he will take up, and he is there, and supporting us, guiding us. And there is another experience which I would like to share. There are times where we tend to, our human tendency is that though divine keeps saying that have ceiling on desires, and keeps guiding us. I don't know if you may call it the karma, or sometimes I don't want to say karma, it is our fault. There was a time when I was working, and I was holding a good position professionally, and I had a lot of money in my hand. I think I was getting arrogant. I was That went into my head, saying that I have money. And so Swami wanted to teach me a lesson. So he said, yeah, isko to thoda abhi, I have to show her little bit of, I have to make her feel grounded. So it so happened that I used to listen to so many discourses where Swami says you should have ceiling on desires. Okay, आपका एक घर है, अच्छा है, सब चल रहा है. But still, I became little greedy. I wanted to buy one more apartment, one more flat. But I was getting so many messages from Swami through various messages saying that have ceiling on desires, don't go. This is not good. Whatever you have contentment in life. Don't go after material thing. But somewhere I think I needed this from Swami, this kind of one, stick say, thap, they'll hit, no, like that. So though I was getting so many messages from Swami that I should not go and invest money in material things, I went ahead and invested and bought one more flat, three-bedroom flat. So after I bought that, there was this IT bubble burst was there, and suddenly, like many companies started closing, and the company where I was working, that also closed, and I was without a job. I had bought that flat, through a loan, bank loan, and since I was working, I was able to pay the EMIs. But suddenly, when I lost the job and I was not able to get job anywhere, because it was a very bad situation there then, in 2009, I guess. And suddenly there were no I didn't know how to pay the EMIs, and all my savings was going towards paying the EMI. And suddenly I realized my bank balance was almost zero. There was not there were I didn't have money to pay the next EMI. And this was the time when I felt that I had done something really bad. I had gone against Swami's wishes. He was giving me messages every now and then, no, don't do it, don't do it. But still I went ahead and I did this, and I hurt Swami, so by not following his message. So I deserved this punishment. So the next EMI, I didn't have money, and the bank was giving me reminders saying that if I don't pay, then they may take the next this thing of auctioning the flat, and to recover their money. This was the time I was going through real rough patch. And it was Swami's 85th birthday celebrations were then. And then, since I was the newly appointed state youth coordinator, our state president and everybody, they told me to visit Puttaparthi because all the states were doing seva there. And even Karnataka Sevadals were there. The youth from Karnataka had gone to do seva during the birthday celebrations. So he told me that, like at least to go and check on the duty points. And so what I did is like I couldn't leave my parents and go. So I just thought I'll go for one day, check on the duty points and come back. I went to Puttaparthi. And then what happened is there all our seva coordinators, our auntie, Basanti Das auntie and Kusma auntie, they told me, like you have come here, but we are really falling short of sevadals. So why don't you stay back? Because, even one hand, extra hand will be really helpful. But I had not carried any of my, extra clothes, and I had just gone for one day and I wanted to come back. And from Puttaparthi to Bangalore, it's just 3.5 hours. So even if I go in the morning, I finish everything, come back, I can reach, take the last bus and come back. So that was my, like plan. But when they said you stay back, we really are in short of sevadals. So then I called up home and they said, yeah, yeah, you continue, you stay there. So Swami made me stay there for, I went for one day, he's made me stay for 10 days. So I went, before the birthday when the duty starts. So I went there and then I stayed because my uncle and aunt were there. I used to just borrow my aunt's sari and somehow fit into her sari, and then, and go. And I was given the duty of crowd control at the that behind North block. They pitch the tents, right? I mean, for food. And all villagers and devotees, they come there for food. So I was given the duty to do the crowd control. Massive crowd it was. And how many people, like day in, and I used to go in the morning, come back, just have food there and just come back, again go. And, till night I used to do duty. He made me do duty for 10 days. And in these 10 days, I forgot totally about the flat, the EMIs and everything. I was only concentrating on how to control crowd and how to manage only Swami and Swami Seva. That's it. And, like in the, finally what happened is, before going to Puttaparthi, here what happened is like, I stood in front of Swami's picture and I cried. I said, Swami, I have made a major, paap kiya hai maine by not following your, like messages. No, by not following, you are telling me over and over again, don't do that, don't do it. But still, I went ahead. So I deserve this punishment, but I'm not able to do. No, I don't know what to do. So like I'm just raising my hands. I'm surrendering to you. To you, do whatever you please. Like how whatever you feel I deserve, you please do it for me. I'm surrendering, and I just cried. And the following day, I went to Puttaparthi to check on the seva. And there he made me stay for 10 days after that. So in these 10 days, I totally forgot about the EMI, everything. And finally, after Swami's birthday, in Hillview Stadium, they have the evening celebrations, right? But I couldn't attend any of this because I was posted on for this thing, no crowd control at the food joint. So I was totally busy there, and I could see the firecrackers, those sparklers. Usually they do, no, after the birthday in the evening, they have all the different laser lights and beautiful this thing. I could see from far off in the sky. And I was like saying, like, oh, I'm just enjoying. I'm not able to see you, Swami, but I know, you must be looking so nice and this and that. And then I came back after the seva. I just slept. I was very tired and I slept. And at 9:30, I get a call. Like where I'm sleeping in my room, I get a call. And this call is from a lady from Dubai. This lady tells that, I understand you have a flat in in such a area which is up for sale, and till these all these months I was trying to, because my EMIs I couldn't pay, I thought I will sell it and at least I can repay the bank's loan. But then no buyers, no nothing, I was running from pillar to post, everything I did, nothing happened. This, on the final day after Swami's birthday, I'm sleeping, I get a call from this lady in Dubai. She says, there is a flat for sale, I want to buy it. Then she tells, please, can you come tomorrow? Because I'm coming down from Dubai. Tomorrow, only one day I'm here. Can you just do the registration? I will make the entire payment. So after Swami's birthday, following day, I took the 5 o'clock early morning bus from Puttaparthi. I reached Bangalore. I finished the registration. I got the money. I paid to the bank. The bank loan was clear. See how Swami, he wanted me to realize that I had made a mistake. He made me realize that whatever the mistake I should. After I surrendered, once I surrendered, I realized my mistake. Then he took charge. Till then, I was he was like watching the fun. Yeah, you did it. No, you suffer. You did it. You asked for it. Now you go through it. And once I said, Swami, I can't. I'm totally now. I just surrender at you. Then he made me do seva for 10 days. That is like, you have to wash off your bad karma by doing seva. And then he, so nice. It was such a beautiful, like I never felt, all these months I was suffering, I was struggling to get that flat sold, but nothing was happening. In just one click of this thing, I get a call. That lady comes, she comes, does the registration, and she pays the money. I pay to the bank, the loan is cleared. I am totally relieved. I think after that I must have slept peacefully. But see, I could see Swami's hand, like how he nicely, he like one flower, he lifted me from that the basket of thorns, he without any this thing, and he relieved me of all my worries. So that is Swami. He is like the mother, like having stick in one hand and the butter in the other hand. So when we make mistake, he will teach us, but he's very lovingly, he teaches us how we have to come back on the right track. May not be physically visible, but the fact that, like all of us are, even in this difficult situation, the pandemic situation, all of us are, like we are so safe, and like we are in we are in a good family, we are able to have good food, good health. That is Swami. He is taking care of us. He is just taking care of us like how a mother takes care of her baby. So we are all her babies, and the Divine Mother, we are in the Divine Mother's arms. So only thing that we need to do is we have to follow the messages that he has shown us, and like with this prayer, that Swami, please continue to guide us, and also give us the resolve to follow the teachings that you have taught, you have given us. So let us be the instrument, the befitting instrument, where you can hold it like a flute, how Krishna holds. So let us all become flutes in Sai Krishna's hand, and make our life fruitful and meaningful. With these words, I close my talk, and thank you one and all. Happy Diwali once again. Jai Sai Ram.